This is a video review for Webdiver Phoenikon. And Webdiver Phoenikon is a really nice bullet train. I really like this thing. It's got some transformation seams and hinges, like seams here, and then along the top, but for the most part they look quite natural. And like this hinge right here and here, they blend in with the paint job really well. I am really impressed by that. So really, the only problems with this guy's vehicle mode is you see a hole here, hinges here, and some shenanigans on the back. It's a very solid vehicle mode. I really like it. Now, the compliment I'm about to give this is probably the strangest compliment I could ever give a toy train, or, well, any toy, actually, is that for a bullet train toy, it's surprisingly not that phallic. Now, granted, it's a bullet train toy, so it's always going to look a little bit like it's a toy dildo, but compared to Classic Train, oh, no comparison. Classic Train was a toy dildo, almost. This thing, it can escape the stigma just a little bit. Now, one thing that's nice about this guy, but has a downside to, is he rolls very well. But it is so loud. Essentially what happens is he has these little translucent orange casters, and normally these wouldn't let him roll very well at all because they're just translucent orange casters. But what makes them interesting is that they're actually shocked. If you press down on it, they actually move. And at first I was concerned about this because, look, that's thin plastic with very little support, but it occurred to me that there's not much I could do to move these far enough to break them, especially if this is down. So, at least in a collector's hands, not going to break very easily. I mean, you could pull them out if you wanted, but that would be on purpose. But just, especially with this end, just mooshing these around, they're not going to break. So, it's a neat bit of engineering. I just wish they had used better wheels so it weren't so loud. It's the same story back here, except they're hooked together. Anyhow, it's interesting engineering. It does work well, just loud. So yeah, I do like this guy. To transform him is very neat. I like his transformation a lot, although it does end up being a bit shell-former-ish. What you do is, you can already see it starting to unpeg a little bit here. It's sort of buckling out on this side. That's because there's just so much crap packed into the back half of this train. To transform this guy, pull these out, come around, fold these wings out, and fold these little flame bits out, and then fold his little claw hands up. Do the same to the other side. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this entire back half, rotate it around like this, then you're going to pull the feet up, separate them, and bring them to the side. And these blue things right here, the legs are on, these will peg in right on the side. Like this. Then you will take this, fold it up, fold it to the side, then fold out these tail bits, these sort of ornamentation things here. And then this little sword bit here forms the middle ornamentation thing, although the sword, while I think it works best on the tail, he can actually hold that. I'll show that off in a bit, and then bring this back. This is his missile launcher. It's posable, so you could like shoot at an angle and stuff. And well, what's sort of interesting about it is that the button's up here, so it fires best when it's folded up, which makes sense because it's normally straight in train mode. But it almost seems more imposing to have it out straight, but then it's harder to get to the firing mechanism here, and these things right here are his missiles. They just clip on and off. I will show that later after we finish the transformation. Next, what we will do is we will come under here, open this up, and then his head is in here. Now, what's interesting about it is that his head is actually looking through the cockpit of the train here. Cock on a bullet train toy. You can kind of see it with this over. And it's actually kind of hard to see the head in there anyway because the head is sort of yellowish gold, and then this is gold too. It blends in very well. And then here's his head. And yeah, we are done with this transformation. We can put him down, and yeah, I really like the way he looks. I love the train mode. I love the transformation, although it does end up being a bit shell-former-ish, and he is very nice. I love how the front of the bullet train, it ends up making a very nice bird shape here. Now I wish that the tail actually joined with it here, because it almost looks like he has two tails, especially if you fold out this little thing here. So that's a little bit of a complaint, but for the most part, I do really like that profile. He has impressive wingspan, and some nice sculpting. As for posability, the legs go back and forth, bend at the knee, both ways, and then the feet are ball jointed, but they're quite tight, and the way it's sculpted right here actually ends up bumping into it sometime, bumping into the mechanism back here sometimes. So basically the feet are just hinged even though they're on ball joints. Then the wings can bend here like this, although they can't bend further back from this, which is a shame. They can rotate around here, they can bend here, this can bend too if you want. The claws can bend. The head can go up and down here at the neck. It can go around here, can bend here, and you can open and close the jaw. The weapon bit back here can rotate around 360 and go forward and back. The tail can go up and down, and then you can move these around. Now while he has a lot of joints on him, they can use to subtly change the way he's posed. It's actually kind of hard to get him to look much different than this. You have to really fiddle with it and toy with it. So he has a lot of posability, but it's not all useful. Now, as for his weapons, you can pop these off, and then you can pop them into his missile launcher, fire them, and there you go. I love the way these missiles store because they complement the wings very well. They make him actually look like they're on fire because, you know, he's a phoenix. I really like the wings. I just really like this guy. He is highly recommended by me. Now, let's show off the sword here. Pull it off. It's a rubbery sword, and because this guy was in the box for about 10 years and it was held in with a rubber band, it's basically permanently bent. I could probably fix it a little bit, but I don't really care. I usually just leave it on the tail because I think it looks best there. It doesn't quite have the posability to use it, but you can put it into his hand, and yeah, just tiny little sword. You can then go forward and like, I'ma cut you, bitch. Rah, 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 rah. So yeah, I do really like this guy. I really recommend him. Now I've heard some reports that he's fragile. I could see this guy breaking if a kid played with him a lot. Because, like, especially with the way those wheels work, and then these flexible bits here, and then a lot of the translucent orange plastic he has, I could see a child breaking this. So if you're a child, maybe you won't want to buy this thing. But a collector, I definitely think a collector would really enjoy this, and would be able to keep it for a long time before it broke or anything. Now, as far as the combination mode with, what's its name, Gladion. Essentially what happens is you have the tail here, which acts as a skirt piece. You have the legs just folded out to the side. You have the head turned around like this. And then you have these wing bits here just as wings, maybe folded in, maybe not, completely up to you. And then you have the gun pointed out. What happens is that, well, the gun doesn't quite seem to point out the way I think it should, but basically it's a gun that points out da-da-da. What happens is it clips onto Gladion by these two connector pegs right here, and then this little orange tab here presses a button on Gladion's chest, and then the button right here, you press a button right here, that'll cause this part of his neck to glow, and then it'll cause this infrared transmitter to transmit the signal to Gladion, so this guy will appear on Gladion's chest. Now, I think this is probably one of the better looking of the Gladion attachment modes, because it really does look fairly impressive. If I had this on my chest, especially to scale, I think it would look quite impressive. And then it has the gun on it, and yeah, I mean, the way everything works on this guy, all the electronics and stuff, not intrusive at all, and I really like that. So, yeah, I review Transformers, I review Webdiver figures, I review Marvel figures, Men in Black figures, Brave figures. If any of that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.